Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jill Kastner. I'm the president of the State Bar of Wisconsin. That's the organization that represents all 25,000 lawyers licensed to practice law. On behalf of the State Bar, welcome to the legal profession and welcome to our event today. On your screen, you will see a chat feature. So if you have any questions or comments as we go along, please post them there and we'll answer them as we are able to do so. I am joined today by 3 justices of our Wisconsin Supreme Court, including Chief Justice Patience Drake Rogenstock, who was elected to the Wisconsin Supreme Court in 2003. Becoming the first Court of Appeals judge elected to our Supreme Court. She was reelected in 2013, and then in May of 2015 became the first justice chosen by members of the court to serve as our chief. Chief Justice Rogenstock is a graduate of UW Law School. Before becoming a judge, she practiced law for 16 years in Madison. The Chief Justice is a past commissioner of the Uniform Law Commission, fellow of the American Bar Foundation, chair of the Supreme Court Finance Committee, a member of the Committee for Public Trust and Confidence in the Courts, a member of the International Women's Forum, and for that, she served as a past president of the Wisconsin chapter. Now, I could go on and on with more of the chief's many accomplishments and services, but then we would run past the time that we have scheduled for today. So with that, I will turn things over to our chief.
Thank you very much, Jill. Thank you for the nice introduction. And welcome to all of you new lawyers for Wisconsin. You know you are the future of Wisconsin's legal profession. So you are very, very important. Many of us have been around the block for a long time. I graduated from UW in 1980. But you are the bright and shining stars that will help Wisconsin for many, many years to come. Now, when you became a lawyer, or really when you started on your journey to become a lawyer, you must have had dreams that encouraged you and made you work as hard as you had to do in law school to do well and to learn as much as you possibly could in those 3 years. I am very fond of a particular quotation that has to do with a dream. It's by Eleanor Roosevelt, and I have it posted on the inside of my chamber's door, and it's been there since I came to the court in 2003. And it goes like this: the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Every single time I see it, which is many times a day, it always makes me smile. And you know why? Because I truly believe it is true for each and every one of you. And sometimes a faraway dream turns into reality, and it does that through effort and through commitment. So you begin on your career as lawyers, you also begin on a career of public service, because that's a large part of what lawyering does. You will help people in conflicts, help them sort out things that are too difficult for them to sort out, either legally, emotionally, or sometimes both. But as you proceed, remember that success is often dependent on attitude. So when you come across a problem, a difficult legal challenge, or a client that needs a lot of help but is difficult to see through to a satisfactory conclusion, just remember to be optimistic. If you think you can do it, you will. You will. And don't be discouraged if the first time you try to achieve something for a client, it doesn't quite work out the way that you thought it would. You know, really great lawyers are not lawyers that have never failed or never lost a case. They are lawyers who take on tough challenges, and if they don't succeed on them, they try, and then they try again, and then once more, they try again. So don't be afraid of tough challenges, and be optimistic, because if you think you can meet them, you will. And I have another little bit of advice. You know, one of my former law partners, Dan Hildebrand, used to say that lawyering is a tough business. And he's right. And it's because of interacting with people who are in a conflicted position when you get involved. Now, sometimes that's not the case. Adoptions are the wonderful part of lawyering and also the part of judging when everyone has a smile on their face. But generally, if you're going to go to court, somebody's going to be happy and somebody's going to be sad. So it's a conflicted situation. But as you proceed through this profession of the practice of law, forget old injuries. You'll bump up against one another. That's just natural when you're dealing with people who are in conflicts. But never forget a kindness. Never. And I will tell you that during the time I practiced law for 16 years, I had many more times than a kindness was extended to me by a colleague in the law than a bump was from an overly conflicted situation where both of us were just about to run around with our hair on fire instead of being calm and cool. So forget old injuries, but never forget a kindness and pass it on. Pass it on to other lawyers. You know, as you proceed as lawyers, one of the most important assets you have, besides an excellent legal education, is your word. Don't give it lightly. Stand behind it. It's so important that courts can trust your word. When you're in the circuit court, those judges don't have the time that I do up here to study a legal issue till they're ready to kiss it goodbye. They have to depend on the lawyers honestly presenting the law to them. And they have to recognize that if there is a wrinkle in the law, you will point it out to them. You won't try to persuade a judge that there's not really another issue that needs to be examined and considered before they decide in your direction. Developing a knowledge of the law, of course, is critical, but displaying your honest presentation of it to courts is critical too. And it's also critical to the colleagues that you will interact with as you proceed through this legal profession. And it's important to your clients. It's important to be truthful and honest. And it's important when you give your word, if you're dealing with another lawyer and you tell that lawyer, okay, we have a deal. Our problem is solved. I'll draft the papers. Be sure you stand by your word, because you'll start out with it in good stead, but if you don't honor it, it'll become tattered, and if it does, so will your legal career. So it's very important to stand by your word. But you know, just like the quote from Eleanor Roosevelt, believe in your dreams, believe in yourselves too. You have a great education. You have a lot of enthusiasm. The State Bar of Wisconsin is a wonderful organization to hook up with, and you will get a lot of assistance if you just reach out your hand and say, hey, would you help me with this? Or, hey, would you connect me with that? You will find that you have a lot of resources there. So believe in yourselves. I believe in you too. And I will look forward to seeing you practicing before the Wisconsin Supreme Court before too long. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We really appreciate you taking the time today. Our next justice to speak is going to be Justice Rebecca Grassel Bradley, a Milwaukee native who was elected to the Supreme Court in 2016 and is the first Wisconsin Supreme Court justice to have served as an intermediate appellate court judge, as well as a circuit court judge. Before joining the Supreme Court, Justice Bradley served as a District 1 Court of Appeals judge, a Milwaukee County Circuit Court judge, as well as worked in private practice as an attorney who was also serving as vice president of legal operations for a global software company. Justice Bradley is a graduate of both Marquette and UW, earning her BS in business administration and business economics from Marquette, and her law degree from the University of Wisconsin Law School. Justice, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Attorney Kastner, and good afternoon, everyone. It was 24 years ago that I took the lawyer's oath and was admitted to practice in the state of Wisconsin. It was one of the most exciting days of my life. and I was so proud to join the law profession. I hope you are proud of your accomplishment of being admitted or soon to be admitted to practice law in the state of Wisconsin. You have done a lot of work to get to this special point in your lives. Abraham Lincoln said, "If you are resolutely determined to make a lawyer of yourself, the thing is more than half done already." President Lincoln recognized that determination, perseverance, and diligence would lead to success. You are now empowered to do great and honorable things for other people. Always remember that people will look to you to protect them, to solve their problems, to keep their secrets, to ease their worry, to obtain justice for them. Depending on the type of work you choose to do, you may interact with people on the worst days of their lives. And sometimes you may feel pretty depressed about that, about the pain that people suffer as a result of their legal issues or conflicts. One of the things I learned as an attorney, something that isn't taught in any law school class, is how to avoid internalizing your client's problems. If you can do that, it can overwhelm you emotionally. You won't be able to right every wrong or make every client whole, but you can still make a bad situation better. When I began my judicial career at Children's Court in Milwaukee County, many of those I met in court every day were going through or trying to recover from terrible moments in their lives. During my work there, I was guided by the words of St. Thomas More. What you cannot turn to good, you must at least make as little bad as you can. It is a tremendous responsibility and a great privilege to be in the position to do these things for others, to devote your lives to the cause of justice, upholding the rule of law, and supporting the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin is one of the most honorable vocations you could have chosen. There will be missteps, even outright failures during the course of your professional careers and your personal lives, and that's okay. It happens to all of us. Winston Churchill said, "Success is the ability to go from one failure to another with no loss of enthusiasm." In other words, don't let your failures deter you from taking risks or fighting for something important or striving to achieve whatever goal you set for yourself. Churchill also said, "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts." Well, I've quoted great statesmen today, Abraham Lincoln and Winston Churchill. And now I have some words of advice from the rock legend, Bruce Springsteen. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing it. The lyrics are, "Talk about a dream. Try to make it real. You wake up in the night with a fear so real. You spend your life waiting for a moment that just don't come. Well, don't waste your time waiting." That's from a song called Badlands. The point is, don't wait for your life to deliver whatever it is you seek. Go out and get it. Whatever your dream is, whatever goals you set, whatever good you seek to accomplish, start doing it today so that years from now you don't reflect back on your life and wonder, what if? America is terribly polarized these days. To see evidence of this, it takes only a few minutes on Twitter, which a commentator once characterized as the worst place on earth. About a decade before the advent of the internet age, President Ronald Reagan said, "I've always believed that a lot of the troubles in the world would disappear if we were talking to each other instead of about each other." And a couple decades before that, Martin Luther King Jr. said, "People fail to get along because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other. They don't know each other because they have not communicated with each other." If you want to help reduce the polarization in our society, the place to communicate with people is not social media. Make an effort to get to know people who come from different backgrounds, different faiths, different perspectives. It's okay if you leave the conversation disagreeing about important issues. The important thing is that you leave the conversation with respect for the other person's perspective and perhaps having made an unexpected friend. Many of us choose law school because we have some vision of saving the world. That's a pretty Herculean goal, isn't it? Some time ago, I was really changed by something Mother Teresa said. She said, "It is easy to love the people far away. It is not always easy to love those close to us. It is easier to give a cup of rice to relieve hunger than to relieve the loneliness and pain of someone unloved in our own home. Bring love into your home, for this is where our love for each other must start." I think what Mother Teresa was saying is that the world would be a much better place, its problems fewer, if we all made a concerted effort to take care of the people around us. I'm not suggesting that you ignore those in need in more distant places, but try to be there for your relatives, your friends, colleagues, and neighbors when they face their own struggles, problems, and challenges in life. My final words of wisdom focus on the importance of gratitude. Whatever led you down this path, always remember to thank those who helped you achieve this dream. In the future, remember to thank those who help you successfully practice law, whether they are your mentors, your legal assistants, or the people who clean your offices. At his son's 9th grade graduation a few years ago, Chief Justice John Roberts gave a simple bit of advice when delivering his commencement address. He recommended that once a week, take just 10 minutes to handwrite a thank you note to someone who did something to help you along the way. He recommended starting with your teachers, and coming from a family of teachers myself, I thought that was really simple but really important advice. You can't imagine how you will transform a person's day by taking the time to handwrite and mail, not email or text, a note like that, especially for people who are not accustomed to being recognized for the good they have done. Finally, always be grateful for the gifts of intelligence and educational opportunity that allowed you to become a lawyer. Not everyone has those gifts or those opportunities. I admire each one of you for choosing our noble profession. I wish we were together in person today so that I could personally congratulate each of you, but I do warmly welcome you to the Wisconsin Bar. Thank you.
Thank you, Justice. And our final speaker today is Justice Rebecca Frank Dalit, who joined the Wisconsin Supreme Court in 2018. Before that, she was elected as a judge in the Milwaukee County Circuit Court. But before becoming a judge, Justice Dalit was an assistant district attorney. Sorry, that was a mouthful for some reason, in Milwaukee County, and was later appointed the first female presiding court commissioner for Milwaukee County. Justice Dalit also served as a special assistant U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Wisconsin and clerked for U.S. Magistrate Judge Aaron Goodstein in the Eastern District of Wisconsin. A native of Cleveland, Ohio, Justice Dalit is a graduate of the Ohio State University and earned her JD from Case Western Reserve University School. Justice, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. And I want to congratulate each and every one of you for your entry and your upcoming entry into the noble profession of the law, and to your family and friends for their support and encouragement to help get you where you are today. Everyone should be very proud. Having gotten to this point, I'm sure you've benefited from role models and mentors in your lives, people you look up to and aspire to be, and those who help to encourage you and guide you on your path. I'm going to spend my short time with you today talking about one of my role models, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I identify with Justice Ginsburg in many ways, as an attorney, a justice, a wife, and mother, but I believe we can all look to her path as a model for how to live our best lives. Justice Ginsburg is a role model for pursuing justice and speaking out against oppression, particularly for women and those who are marginalized. As a lawyer, she worked within the legal system to fundamentally change the Supreme Court's approach to women's rights. And from a broader perspective, she changed the way we all think about gender discrimination, raising awareness that it affects all of us, men and women alike. Part of the attorney oath that you have taken or will take includes the promise to never reject the cause of the defenseless or the oppressed. How will you personally pursue justice and stand against oppression? You may choose a career standing up for the underserved every day, but if not, will you volunteer for a legal clinic like the one out of Milwaukee County? Will you work pro bono on behalf of those who cannot afford your services? Will you decide to run for office in your local village or town, or even on a statewide level, to give a louder voice to the needs of others? Can you spend just a few hours a week answering legal questions on Wisconsin's Free Legal Answers website? Your lives will only continue to get busier, but it's important for all of us to remember the cause of the defenseless and the oppressed. Justice Ginsburg is also a role model for how to conduct oneself professionally. She understands that when a thoughtless or unkind word is spoken, it's best to tune it out. She has said that the best marital advice she got was to be a little deaf sometimes. But as an advocate, judge, and justice, she also understood that reacting in anger or annoyance does not advance one's ability to persuade. You will make your living by disagreeing. That is the nature of the practice of law. As you learned in law school, though, what you say and how you say it matters. Keep in mind the reputation you are building for yourselves and the best way to represent your clients. How can you do that collegially? Justice Ginsburg also has much to teach us about balance, and balance can seem elusive in the legal profession. You will have demanding clients and partners, billable hours, deadlines placed on you by the court, and you will have families and friends and children with whom you want to spend time with. I myself have juggled to balance my roles as wife, mother, and volunteer with my career as a prosecutor, circuit court judge, and now Supreme Court justice. I agree with Justice Ginsburg when she said, "You can have it all, just not all at the same time." It is a give and take, with attention being paid to the part of your life that needs it at that moment. Surround yourself with a support system and cheerleaders, just as Justice Ginsburg did with her husband. And mentors can be an important part of that support system, to not only advocate for you, but also to help you understand where you want to go next with your career. Make it a point to seek out those you believe you can learn from and develop a mentoring relationship. Reach out to others in different areas of the profession to get coffee and to understand some ideas about your professional path. The state bar and local bar associations are great places to connect as well with those who are seeking to balance a meaningful career and home life. There are sections and committees to get involved in, CLE opportunities, an annual convention, and there is help from the WISLAP 24-hour referral and a new lawyer wellness program that's being in the process of being launched. And speaking of balance, we can all take a lesson from Justice Ginsburg, who drops everything she is doing every day for her daily workout. The legal profession can be mentally and physically taxing. Your job is to take on the problems of your clients. You will put in long hours and you will not always be able to solve those problems, and you will not always win in court. It can not only be physically, but mentally draining. But to take care of others, it is important to first take care of yourself. Get that daily workout in, enjoy nature, meditate, whatever it takes to help keep you balanced. You are at the dawn of an exciting, rewarding, and fulfilling career as a lawyer in the great state of Wisconsin. I hope that you will strive, as Justice Ginsburg does, to be someone who uses whatever talent you have to do the best work you can do to the very best of your ability. Congratulations again.
Thank you. And thank you to all of the justices for taking the time today for this event. Now, before I let you guys go, I must reiterate one of the things that your chief told you, and that is utilize the resources of your bar association. Over the next few months, you're going to be getting emails, which are specifically entitled New Member News. Do not just delete them out of your inbox. Look through them. You're going to be receiving a lot of discounts, news, and other information that is invaluable. For example, one of the things you're going to be getting is a free subscription to Books Unbound, which is basically the State Bar's library of materials that can help you practice law, both the substantive area as well as some of the practice setting areas. The other thing is look at our website. We have a lot of resources that come as part of your membership dues, so they're at no extra charge. If you have an ethics question, we have an ethics hotline where you can talk with an expert attorney and talk through your ethical issues to make sure you don't run afoul of the rules. Justice Dalit was nice enough to tout our Wisconsin Lawyer Assistance Program, which helps deal with stress, anxiety, work-life balance, depression, substance abuse, just general wellness issues. We have other programs like Practice 411 for those of you who are hanging out your own shingle. We have the LRIS, which is the Lawyer Referral and Information Service, which will help you build your client base. And we have very specific COVID-19 related materials as well. So check out the website, check out the resources, and if all else fails, pick up the phone and call the bar and see if they can provide assistance with the issue you're facing. Chances are very good we have resources available, usually free of charge, that are going to help you with what you need to learn and what you need to have in order to be successful. Although there are 25,000 members of the State Bar of Wisconsin, we are a relatively small legal community. We want to help. We want you to succeed. We want you to have a good work-life balance and be a contributing member of our legal community. So thank you so much for joining us here today. Welcome to the practice. And don't forget to be kind to others and to ask for help when you need it. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your week.